Well, hello, everybody. Crusty old crow back again. I remember it was Clayton Abernathy, I think, that once told me about the three P's. Just a little thing he told me was, he said, Crow, no matter what, no matter how your career goes for you, always remember the three P's: partners, patience, and preparation. Those things, partners, patience, and preparation, can make a slow man fast, and a lack of them can make a fast man dead. And I thought to myself, you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of that time Buzzer fought barbecue. And he said, oh yeah, that! We've been promising that for a while. Hey guys, it's time again for another one of my Spec Fire G.I. Joe classified crow fights that I've been talking about over the weekend. Told you guys it was coming. So we're going to do that today. It's number 7 in our series. For those of you just joining them, you're learning that I got a couple weird things with the ADHD going on, and this is one of them. Spec Fire is where I pit two very popular, or not popular, figures up against each other in what I think, in my experience through the military and just my wacky perspectives, I think a fight between these guys would look at like, and I do it over a period of the 5-round grouping. Pardon me while I duck down. I'm looking for my signs, but all my signs are hidden away, and that's okay. I found them. So when I do these fights, I break them down into 5 rounds, right? I got your first round. It's going to be the 1,000 meter to 500 meter mark. And we call that the, pardon me. Where we go? I got my round signs now. Oh, geez, it's going to be the last one. There we go. We call that the engagement phase, right? And that's what happens in round 1. In round 2, I look at what's going to happen in that next phase of battle, the react enemy fire phase, and that's going to occur between the 500 and 300 meters. Third round is going to be the 300 to 100 meter, and that is called the win the firefight phase. And then we got the take the trench phase, which is round 4. It's that 100 meters to close quarters combat. And today, this one is the real deal. But closing it out, we have that 5th round. I give you that dramatic conclusion round. I take into consideration any other kit that comes into play or things we know about the character's traits. And we come to a decision about who the winner actually is and what happens to the loser. Do they get captured? Do they get killed? Do they escape? Are they let go? What is the story? And the crow makes something up. And just for shits and giggles here, guys, like I said, they're not made for kids, but they're made for whatever. It's like it's a kid. It's like playing with your toys, right? And so this is what the 50-year-old man does. So similar to what he did when he was 10 years old, right? So I've explained those rounds, but the first thing we always get into is we do a breakdown of who the contestants are and why they're fighting, right? So I told you guys, I'm going to pit that new Buzzard kit, the one that I wasn't overly happy with, mostly because of quality control and those glasses, which I've put away and kept away. We're going to pit Buzzer up against a lesser fave here in Ottawa, a peg warmer that I was reluctant to buy, and a guy who really kind of stands out amongst your Joe collection if you have one of the 2 available variants of him. Again, the traditional orange variant is out there. It's not one I got. I got the Marauder version of Barbecue, our firefighter for the Joes. So we're going to have a firefighter with a pair of axes and his foam supply, and that's what I'm saying it is. It's a supply of fire-retardant foam and a nozzle to shoot it with. We are going to pit him up against Buzzer Dreadnought and all of his close combat weaponry and gangland experience and see what would actually go down between these two. But you guys know me. I can't just sit at it and go, well, you put them in a fight. I got to break it down. When I do those phases, it's always done by what kit is provided by Hasbro in their boxes. So let's have a look at the back. And you can see that I start having a problem with my traditional format, guys. If we can get that box to stay put for just a second. In the traditional format, what you would have is you would have a ranged weapon of some sort with these characters that would allow me to do something either with that weapon or with their role for the first round. But as these guys are both very close quarters kind of individuals, there's nothing I can do for round one today except just get into that storytelling a little bit, which we'll go there. Round two, same problem. Round three, really same problem. The advantage here between the two is you're dealing with armor, more or less a little bit for head protection, and you have a firearm on the situation here. So there comes a point where an advantage can be given to somebody with a firearm against somebody who doesn't, clearly, in a lot of scenarios, right? So there they are. I found Buzzer's glasses that I didn't have on him, and I'm not really a fan of at all, but we'll put them up there just to... Whoa, there we go. Oh my God, no. Did we just foreshadow? Oh, did we foreshadow the fight? Would it be that easy to end the video to just say that BBQ never had a chance? Is that what the fates are saying? Well, guys, I wouldn't be doing my job if I left it like that. I am doing my job by being exactly this clumsy, though, but clearly... there's only so much longer I can deal with this camera stand. It is a piece of crap Walmart special. Sorry, Walmart, it is. But we're done with that. But I'm going to have a seat down finally and get some FaceTime with you guys. It is my second video of the day, so I won't call it too critical that I get the FaceTime, but I like it. All right, so like I said, our contestants, and I'm going to pull out my tablet in a second and get into those file cards that I love to get into. That's criteria number one. The deal with Buzzer is you can see he's definitely like we say, we know he's British, studied in Australia, joined bike gangs to study them. And he's very lightly dressed, right? He's only got some protection really on his thighs and knees and crotch. Good on him for bike riding, but not great in a close quarters battle. However, he's got some very effective weaponry happening here. He's got a close quarters knife. He's got a pistol, which is, I don't care if you're a terrible shot. It is a difference maker in closing the distance in a battle like the one we're going to have. But he's also got the two-handed chainsaw, and as cumbersome as it is, these are diamond tip blades, and that will cut through armor. But I'm going to show you what that actually looks like in a second. Well, in the battle. Okay, he's got this axe that he rigged out of a cut up of a blade, and he jury rigged it to a baseball bat. And that'll come into play. And then, of course, he's got this flail with the medieval type blade on the end. Or is it Asian type? I don't care. The point is, he's got this very hard to defend against weapon within the 6 foot radius of his body, right? He's adding about with these two things, he's adding distance to his arm length. Okay, bottom line. With BBQ, where did that box fall to? Right over here. What's BBQ bringing to the table as far as this fight goes, and what the Hasbro has limited us with kit? Well, like I said, he's got some body armor protection. It is represented, right? His helmet is connecting to a breathing apparatus. He's got vision protection. He is equipped to go into a fire. He's got fire retardant clothing, which would be very dense, and he definitely has some rigs on his body to help him in this fight. And I just realized, where did I have him set aside? So if we're talking about advantages for BBQ, one would have to be body armor, and it's going to come into play. But does he have an advantage anywhere else? Well, he's got two close combat weapons, which really aren't meant to be close combat weapons in their intent for the character. He's got his two-handed fire axe. That's for breaking down walls and creating openings, letting fire vent out through a big opening or air flow out, right? Breaching. So, and he's got that little hand axe to just refine, maybe smash a lock or two out of a door to get at the kids and rescue them, not the other way we've seen these axes go. And then we've got the foam tanks, which would be full of a fire-retardant pressurized solution that would go through this hose into his little foam gun. Not a pistol with a silencer, foam gun. And you can see, proven here. Come and set it here. All right, so that's the breakdown of the kit they're getting. So let's have a look at those file cards for a second. And, oh, pardon me. Did I leave this here? I did. thought it'd be impressive if you guys saw me reading stuff. Just don't tell me how it ends, gripping stuff. I'm really just don't even talk about it. I want to know how it ends later. Anyways, so here we have the scenario, but let's get into the actual file cards. Like I said, once I grab my El Tableto of storytelling. So the first guy I'm going to go through is Dreadnought, and if you watched that review I did on him earlier, we're just going to reiterate a few things about him and then move on. The Dreadnought buzzer is Dirk Blinken, Richard Blinken Smythe of Cambridge, England. Buzzer was an extreme left-wing in Cambridge socialite, and he decided to go to Australia and study the bike gang phenomenon, and that turned him into a very different person. He's very smart, but he's got a really bad attitude, and he sees himself separated from society for sure. He's got an MO, like a modus operandi, that he's a scavenger of the swamps, and so he's definitely looting and pillaging where he can. Buzzer can throw out steel, wrought iron, and with any metal plate. He can cut through it with his diamond tooth chainsaw. Okay, so he's big into using his chainsaw whenever he can. It's his trademark, right? That's why they're calling him Buzzer. So two-handed diamond chainsaw. All right, Buzzer is going to be facing BBQ. Gabriel Kelly, a born firefighter, also out of Boston, Mass. All right, and he comes from a long generation of firefighters, and it wasn't really about the fighting of the fire and the saving of the lives. It was more about the joys of the whole action of it all and the excitement. But when they break it down, you know, what they say about him there. Being allowed to knock down doors and smash windows with his axe is just frosting on the cake. So he's loving his job, and he's very passionate firefighter. BBQ is what you call your basic party animal. He can open bottles with his teeth. Blah blah blah. Okay. You may well ask how all this affects his functions as a G.I. Joe firefighter. It doesn't. It simply makes him a more interesting fellow to have around. All right, so we're talking about kind of a morale boost kind of guy. He's the guy you like to be around. Maybe he's not in a direct contact section like other Joes are, but he's certainly well respected for what he brings to the table, and he's a delight to be around, from what I understand. Great party guy, no problems there. All right, so we've gotten to know the contestants. We see what they're bringing to the table, and like I said, we're limited here, or limited. That's a great word. I wish I didn't make it up. Limited. And why are we limited? Because we have no ranged weapons here. So again, guys, that takes care of rounds 1 through 3. I'm going to say are out the window. They've already happened. Advantage, Crow. Okay, so where does that take us now? So now I got to get you into the scenario. Let's get you into the fight. What's going on over here? Let's have a look quickly, and then I'll get back behind the camera and explain it to you. So first off, I got to take you somewhere. Let's go to a really, let's say, rundown, seedy neighborhood somewhere in mid-U.S. I use Detroit, and I don't mean any disrespect to Detroit, but when I look at some houses and what they look like for neglect in an inner city where there's a crime aspect and a poverty aspect and all that, these are the images that come up, and clearly they're from a Detroit neighborhood. But picture housing kind of like that. Maybe a little bit more accurately is when I get into the story. But a very rundown kind of house. And what it is that's the safe house for Dreadnought Zorana. And what's gone on is basically the Joes have intercepted a communique. If that's communication for you less sophisticated words, they've intercepted a message basically between Zorana and Zartan that Mainframe was able to hack because he knows about Zorana and some of her little secrets. And basically it says that she was heading to the safe house, and they decide to be quick and try and grab Zorana, right? General Hawk, you got it, that's right. Swift to act. And the two most immediate guys that are in that area, in that neighborhood in Detroit, we'll say, was Shockwave and BBQ, because they were assigned as partners at a convention for the police and fire department in Detroit. And so they get assigned for that job to go down and go to this safe house and get Zorana. Here's where the problem is, okay? If you have a look at the situation, I'm going to tell you what happened. And this falls under that whole 3P, right? Partners. Partners have to work together, guys. They absolutely have to. And so what's happened here is this is an example of what can happen when you don't wait for your partner, right? So while they were sure that it was just Zorana in there, what they forget is that the Dreadnoks are a very resourceful group. And they had a basement sub-entrance to the place. So all the little observation that Shockwave had been doing, getting ready to take out the place, he just ascertained that she was alone, and that was it. And he didn't realize that there was like a connective tunnel to the house next door where there were more Dreadnoks in the basement. And he burst in because he wasn't going to wait for BBQ to get all of his equipment on. He figured, I've got my riot shield, I've got my baton, Zorana's one chick, I will slam her against the wall and this will be done. He bursted and he was wrong. Now, this is where things start getting ugly because, as I said, his partner is back over at their van, still getting his firefighting gear on. He just realized that he's lost comms with Jason. So he's going to go charging in. But meanwhile, Zartan and Zorana, they take off, right? And somewhere in the background is Torch, and he torches the place. He sets the place ablaze. That's why we have these little effects, because I only have so many blast effects that look like fire. Fire, right? And so we'll just get that back up there. What's going on now is they've left an unconscious Jason Ferreira Shockwave on the ground, out cold. He just got tuned. And they've decided to set fire to that place. So this is what the room actually kind of more looks like. You can see that the fire is starting to go along the perimeter of the wall and floor line, and billowing smoke is starting to go in. And BBQ sees it starting to come out the window. He doesn't see Zorana and Zartan escape, or Torch, or Ripper. We'll say Ripper was even there. Or any of them. What he sees is just the fire, and he's got to go in and see what's going on with his buddy. Buzzer would have taken off, but Buzzer's just trying. He wants that hard flex. He got about halfway out of that tunnel and went, oh wait, I want a bloody souvenir for this. I want to claim credit for having done this. So he runs back in, and he wanted Shockwave's hat, and so Shockwave hat sitting on Buzzer. Let's see if that'll balance just long enough. Nah, good enough. It worked. So he's gone back in to get the hat into the burning building. All the other Dreadnoks have taken off, and in bursts. Yeah, screw it. You got the deal with the hat. In bursts our boy. Okay. Well, are we getting that in frame? We are. All right, good enough. So we'll go from here with the pointer, guys. So we're immediately going right into the last round. Well, the last two rounds. Fourth round, okay? Up to this point, we treat everything as though it was a draw. And here's the situation. This room is billowing smoke. It's getting high up there. He was fine when he was going in to just get a hat. He was creeping down and whatnot, right? And, it's important to note, he wouldn't be carrying the chainsaw. That would still be... Well, I mean, like we're saying, all the equipment is accessible. He went back to get that and the hat. But the point being is, immediately as he bursts through the door, it's not like the smoke is precluding him from seeing daylight. Suddenly burst into the room. And he knows if it's coming through the front door, it's not one of his buddies. So he immediately draws his pistol. Okay, and it's a quick double tap, pop, pop, right? He has clear vision enough through all of this element, the heat shimmer and the smoke, that when he came in, he went boom, he looked down, he looked up, he saw the gun, and he rotated. Why would he rotate? Okay, because he's wearing body armor, and if he goes chest front, all his gear is going to get compromised and possibly go through, because this isn't meant for like ballistic body armor. It's meant for blunt force protection of like a falling timber log or anything like that, and it's meant for heat protection, a little bit of blast maybe, but it's not going to be bulletproof armor. It is strictly very good safety equipment for a firefighter. That's right. All right, so what ends up happening is he rotates. Cha-cha! The first bullet does kind of graze and go by, but it doesn't get through the armor as much as kind of take a gouge out of it and ricochet off, right? But the armor is getting compromised by that bullet. A dead-on shot probably would have gone through. The second bullet, however, and this is where my storytelling will come in, it punctured those foam tanks. Oh no. And bearing in mind, he's only carrying the one axe. The other axe would be on his leg where it was meant to be. But he's got the foam tank suddenly punctured. And he can hear it and he can feel it on his back just given, right? He's got a second to go. And we'll say that for the sake of the fight, at that point, Buzzer decides, no, no, no. I've got this. And he's going for the chainsaw, right? So chainsaw out. And so while that tank is losing pressure, a firefighter like BBQ here, he would have a very hard decision to make at this point. Well, not so hard. I think his gut would tell him exactly what I'm telling him. He's only got so much foam left and so much time in that pressure before that foam tank, regardless of the contents inside. The pressurization's gone, and that tank is now useless, and therefore the foam gun's useless. So, being the good dude that he is, he could spray that foam along the floor really quick in an effort to try and control the fire. Or he could just dump what's left on his buddy Jason, right? He does that, but he starts his squirt like a party animal would. And it's one single blast to Buzzer's face. Now, Buzzer is wearing those ridiculous goggles that I just not a fan of. Ridiculous as in ridiculous how hard it is to get them to stay on for me. So we'll just say that quick blast is enough to get the foam and take the glasses out of the situation just for a second. Hardy har har. What a funny little burst. But the rest of the foam dumps all over Jason to try and buy him a few more seconds, because he realizes he's not going to be able to grab him and run. He's going to have to fight for him, right? So, you know, a little bit of a draw there, a little bit of a gunfight. Different intent entirely behind those two gunfights, or those two weapons, right? So, what happens next? This is all about Mac's aggression. So, he is going to, because he's got to get out of this smoky room too. His eyes are welling up. He's having to get low. He realizes this fight has to go quick for him. He's not equipped like him. So he's going to come in hard with that chainsaw, and he's going to go for that big hack. Meanwhile, we're going to have just the two-handed axe in play on here, and I'm just going to show you basically what'll happen there is he's not going to try and block that with the axe, right? To lose that axe or to tie it up is going to be useless. He has a different idea immediately how to deal with that chainsaw, because he understands things like fuel sources and how to deal with emergency scene management and all the other things. So what ends up happening is, yes, there is a diamond tooth chainsaw two-handed coming at him, and yeah, he's probably throwing all of his weight into it. He's going to go low again. The tank's useless. He's going to let the tank in the top of his armor take that first glancing blow. Anything he hits, he's going to keep it away from, like, the vital parts and go for the part where there's more density. So armor or useless equipment. He's going for it. Maybe it'll spray some more foam into Buzzer's face. He has no idea. But the point is, while these teeth could cut through that armor, no problem, with the right amount of pressure applied, or the tanks, no problem, with the right amount of pressure applied, we have to think about the physics of it and the fact that he is not a stationary log or a wall or a door. He is a man with an entire skeleton under there capable of a lot of different type of movement to take the resistance away from that blade. So by rolling and moving and things like that, that blade's going to have a hard time catching. If this were flesh and bone and cloth, no problems. You would never do this. But wearing that kind of protective gear and everything like that, you're buying yourself a second. Would it cut through? It could. You're not going to hold that position. You're just using it to deflect. And by doing that, that allows him to get his second hand free, and he gets that other grip on that axe, and he swings back wildly. Buzzer's got no choice but to try and block that. Otherwise, he's going to be taking an axe. So he's going to try and blocking it with the chainsaw. The chainsaw is going to start getting compromised. It is still a rail mounting blade system with links. And when you start impacting those things at high speed, you loosen the connection and you could have your entire blade, your entire chain come right off that blade, right? So he's going to hit him with that. But in this story, he doesn't exactly do that. He inverts the axe. He flips the axe around pointed side. And he swings that as hard as he can, knowing that he's going to try and block it. But what he's looking for isn't to hit that blade. He's looking to hit a fuel source or the gears or anything to disrupt the internal mechanics of the chainsaw. Make it stall out. Blow that fuel tank wide open, watch it dump fuel all over his pants and see what happens from there. Things like that. He does that because he understands the very first thing you do is you cut off the fuel supply to a fire as much as you can, right? So you would cut off the fuel supply to the danger that he's doing. It's instinctive to him. So he's done that. The chainsaw is useless. Oh no, bloody hell, you mate, you chinkies, you got me good there, barbecue. Party! Okay, so but we'll say that in doing that, he kind of lodged the axe. He's lost his axe. So he still has his hatchet left to defend himself with, right? Meanwhile, he's reached up and he's like, oh, right. Axe and fights and whatnot, right? He grabs his axe. Now, his axe, I'm sorry, guys, as cool as it is, and it is a swinging baseball bat style. Again, same issue. You know, he's going to be with those big tanks and everything, right? Big problem. He's got a lot of armor. He already knows he's going to have to swing. So he's going to want to start swinging for where he doesn't think the armor is, which is going to be legs, right? He's going to be swinging low. And he's got a surprise in store for him, okay? So when he reached for that axe and he reached for his hip axe, he also reached for the quick release. And he dropped his tanks. Useless as they were now, they had actually spared him a bit of grief in the fight. And he's going to beat him to it. He charges forward. He's got all this extra weight, all that extra mass, and he just dumped a bit of weight. So he's got a bit of spring in his step that he didn't have when the fight first started. And he's going to slam into him and immediately use his hatchet, lock it up, and rip that bitch out of his hand, right? Now, it's not like Buzzer doesn't know how to fight. Buzzer's going to tie up that axe, cause him to slam it into a wall. Just like in a horror movie, you know, oh, yeah, I got my weapon, but slam, now I can't get that hatchet out, right? Who knows? He's going to be able to defend himself and everything like that. But he's reaching for that other weapon, so he's maneuvering around a little bit harder to like, he's faster, he's ducking low. This guy's cumbersome, but man, does he hit hard at this point. Right, barbecue. And the big thing about barbecue is, and you see it here, he doesn't have the limitation this guy does in a burning building when it comes to how close you can get to those fires. He's wearing so much fire retarded stuff and thermal heat reducing quality fabrics and everything like that, that he could step as close as he needs to step to a fire, even into it momentarily if he needs to cross over, right? You don't get that benefit, do you, Buzzer? Smart as you are, the longer this fight goes on, you get dumber, right? He's got to get out of here. He's got to make a break for that, right? He's got to try and escape. But he's also a bit of a glory hound, and he can't let it just go, right? So he reaches for the flail. And this is where the tides turn again, because now with the flail, he's just swinging wild and he's swinging low and his eyes are almost closing because of the smoke in the room, right? And swinging wild, swinging low, and knowing where he outmaneuvered barbecue last, he's going to hit something. He's going to hit a leg, he's going to hit a hip, he's going to hit there. In this case, he hits barbecue right in the back of the meat of the thigh. And that one goes through cloth, it goes into meat, and it sticks. And that is agony. So remember, the hatchet's stuck in the wall or got dropped at that point, and barbecue's got only one choice, right? This kind of pain, being backed into a corner, now that the flail is kind of stuck in the leg, he's going to take this to the ground. But again, cumbersome weight. Dreadnought, they know how to fight. It's not like they don't know how to fist fight. He's going to get on top on their way down, right? Flail's useless. He's on top. Yeah, this one's coming to an end because he still has that knife, right? Oh, no. Can we get a close-up on this? Because it's not looking good for BBQ. Are we getting this? Oh, yeah. So it's looking pretty bad. He's on top. But is this how the 4th round would end? Would BBQ just go like that in close combat? Yeah, he's lacking in equipment. Like, he's lacking in fighting equipment. And he's wounded. And he's got him on top of him. But here's the thing. Remember something. A guy like Gabriel Kelly is weight training every single day of his life because he's passionate about his work. He loves his job. He's not just a G.I. Joe. He is a exceptional firefighter. And firefighters, as we know, are the best when they're the strongest at their job, right? And a lot of that comes from being physically strong, mentally strong, resilient, and able to persevere through the most discomforting situations you've ever been in your life. Having this aristocrat who arrogantly gets on top of them and thinking, once again, I'm going to get 2 trophies out of this. I'll take his mask and his hat and call it a day. This guy weighs $160. He only has a wound to his leg at that point. He's caught his breath on the way down a little bit and let him catch on top, rolling on his back, lets him get his bearing for a second, and it allowed him to get his feet in position and his hips into position. He's not thinking UFC. He's thinking stabby, stab, stab, cutty, cut, cut. He's thinking buck in position. So he bucks him, he positions him, and he grapples that knife and rolls into like a full position over him. And the only weapon he has left is his cunning party boy attitude, having watched a lot of UFC fights and a lot of action movies and all of this other stuff. And being strong, he headbutts him as hard as he can, repeatedly, once, boom, twice, boom, 3 times. Okay, now you see it in the teeth, right? Okay, but he's out cold. As much pain as he's in, he's able to grab Shockwave, he's able to drag him out, and he's able to save the day. Guys, that's the fight. In the end, it's the conditioning, not necessarily the combat preparation. And it is the job knowledge and the confidence and just the core strength required to be BBQ that sees the ruthlessness and intelligence of a guy like Buzzer going to the wayside, guys. All right, so the score was 3-2 Joe when we came into these crow fights. It's now 4-2 Joe. As much as I am not a big fan of BBQ per se, when it's all the other figures you can collect in your Joe collection, don't ever mistake it as a disrespect to the firefighters. The guys I've known in the job, they could throw me through time and space, the way they work out, guys. And I have no doubt in my mind that this guy would definitely take down a guy like old Buzzer here. There's the fight I promised you guys. Spec Fire number 8 has not been decided what it is. I will take suggestions if anybody has it. Remember the rules being, it has to be in my collection, guys. I have quite a lot of Joes. I wouldn't say I have, I think, close to 60 or more around there. There's definitely some core pieces I am missing. But in the end, we can do this. Let's work at it. And, oh my God, did that stop recording? No, it didn't. That's a nightmare for a one take. Anyways, we can work it out in the comments just like it's been done in the past. That's what brought us our Outback on Recondo blue on blue exercise fight, right? So, had a lot of fun doing it. We'll see what the next one is. But for now, remember, just like BBQ, Sergeant Slider says, you too could be a winner. See you next time, guys. Bye.